He grew up in a small, crowded apartment in Brooklyn, New York, not in a world of opportunity, but in a world of survival. And this is the story of how Howard Schultz went from poverty to building one of the most recognized brands in the world, Starbucks. As a child, Howard didn't grow up with luxury. His father worked hard doing blue-collar jobs like truck driving and labor work. But there was always instability, and one day, everything changed when his father got injured on the job and had no health insurance, no compensation, no safety net. And that moment stayed with Howard because he saw his family struggle and understood what it meant to work hard and still have nothing to fall back on. And deep inside, he made a quiet promise that one day he would build a different kind of company, one that takes care of its people. But at that time, he was just a kid trying to escape poverty. So he worked hard in school and eventually earned a football scholarship to college, becoming the first person in his family to go to university, which was already a big step forward. But after graduating, success didn't come instantly. He took ordinary jobs, trying to find his place in the world, until he came across a small coffee company called Starbucks. And at that time, Starbucks wasn't what you know today. It was just a small business selling coffee beans with no fancy drinks and no global presence. But Howard saw something others didn't. He later traveled to Italy, and that trip changed everything, because in Italy, coffee wasn't just a drink. It was an experience where people gathered in cafes, talked, laughed, and connected, and coffee shops were a third place between home and work. And that's when the idea hit him. What if he could bring that experience to America? But when he pitched this idea to the Starbucks owners, they rejected it because they didn't believe in turning Starbucks into a cafe-style experience and wanted to stick to selling beans. And most people would have given up right there. But not Howard. He believed in the vision so much that he decided to leave Starbucks and start his own company called Il Giornale, built around the cafe experience he had seen in Italy. But starting a business was not easy because he faced rejection after rejection trying to raise money. In fact, he was turned down by over 200 investors. Imagine that more than 200 people said no, which is enough to make anyone quit. But he didn't. He kept going, kept pitching, and kept believing until he finally raised enough money to get started. And his idea began to work because customers loved the experience. It wasn't just about coffee, but about atmosphere, connection, and feeling like you belonged. And then came the turning point in 1987 when Howard got the opportunity to buy Starbucks, the very company that had once rejected his idea. And this time he was ready. He bought it and transformed it, taking that small coffee bean shop and turning it into the Starbucks we know today, a global brand with thousands of stores around the world. But what makes his story truly powerful is that he never forgot where he came from. He remembered his father who had no safety net. So he built Starbucks differently by offering healthcare benefits to employees, even part-time workers, creating opportunities for growth, and making sure his company treated people with dignity. Because for him, success wasn't just about money, but about impact. And that is the real lesson here. Success is not about where you start, but about what you do with what you have. Howard Schultz didn't have connections, he didn't have wealth, and he didn't have an easy path. What he had was vision, persistence, and the courage to keep going when everyone else said no. So if you're listening to this and feeling stuck or thinking your situation is holding you back, remember this story. A kid from a poor family who watched his parents struggle and got rejected over 200 times built one of the biggest brands in the world. Your current situation is not your final destination, and the dream you're holding on to might just be your turning point. But only if you refuse to give up, because sometimes the difference between failure and success is simply refusing to quit.